We're gonna add a little bit of botanical bliss.
Boom.
We're gonna add a little bit of modern.
Bang.
We're gonna kill the myth of gin.
Pow.
And we're gonna do it all today. Hey guys, I'm Sly, and welcome to another episode of Shot Ones, where I get to meet with industry leaders across the US, drink cocktails, eat different foods, good foods, hot foods. Today, I'm here with Vance Henderson, and I will say, you're so like buttoned up. You've got notes, a pen, a paper, and now I'm like serious with this. And we're gonna have some fun with gin today.
Indeed we are.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks so much for having me. Vance Henderson, National Ambassador of Hendricks Gin, that odd and peculiar gin from Girvan, Scotland. Oddly infused with cucumber and rose. Been with Hendricks. I've been with William Grant, the parent company, for coming up on 10 years.
Okay.
And I've been in brand marketing for about 12 years now, which has been great. Industry guy at heart, bartender at heart, own restaurants, own bars, still love shaking it up. Was an event planner, a whole bunch of other odd jobs that, weirdly doing what I do, all built a great foundation for it. You know, especially at one stint teaching kindergarten and then other stint working for a funeral home. But we'll get to that. It all helps keep it unusual.
Both ends of the extreme. Wow, okay. And
But,
10 years in the industry. It's so amazing that our paths have never even crossed before, but it's probably because you've been on one airplane, I've been on the other, and we're just like, whoop.
100%.
But I'm so glad to finally meet you because,
mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's been kind of the ride, you know. Started in DC as what we titled a multicultural ambassador.
Okay.
So I've represented Hendricks, but also represented some other brands within the portfolio. Of course, to move the product in accounts of color, African American accounts was great, but it was working for an agency. And I fell in love with that. You know, represent the brand, throw some events, move some product, meet people, smile, shake it up. It was great. And I determined that I wanted to work for the company. I didn't want to be part of the agency. I wanted to work for the company. So I was going to go for whatever opened up first. Okay. And the first role that opened up was for Drambuie, aged Scotch whiskey liqueur. Did that for 2 years, and the company said, that was great. We need you somewhere else. They moved me to Monkey Shoulder, blended malt whiskey. Loved that. Did it 2 years, swinging and slinging. It was great. And then in 2020, they came back to me and said, all right, you've done great with all of those. We need you on the mother brand. And that brought me full circle back to Hendricks Gin.
That is the mother brand. And it's funny because when I say we're going to kill the myths of gin, gin is kind of one of those misunderstood categories.
100%.
People say you either love it or you hate it, because when you're like, oh, do you want a gin or a gin cocktail or gin? And we see that gin's rising and trending, and it's what's forecasted to be trending. And it's just, they're like, oh, you know, you have this juniper forward London style that's in everyone's head. And I will say Hendricks, like with a big army boot, kicked in the door of modern style gins 100%. And really brought the term modern style gin to reality, to the forefront.
Absolutely.
And at the top of everyone's mind. In your opinion, when we say modern style gin, what's your definition of that?
Well, as you said, it is gin as a whole with the consumer has had that love-hate relationship because of the flavor profile, right? Either they love that juniper flavor or they don't.
Christmas
love that
tree,
that's piney, green, the holidays, all of those things. But at the core, when you peel back without getting all technical, what Hendricks did in 1999, again, you think, man, 26 years, that's not a long time in the realm of gin, right? So we're not old. Right. We're certainly not young anymore.
You're in that sweet spot.
No. I mean, when I was 26, I was living my best life. What it really did was to create a gin that was kind of unbuttoned, still exquisite, but unbuttoned, but without question, more approachable. Yeah. And that's what really, I believe, paved the way for these modern styles of gin, the Genaissance, like just this whole evolution of how gin could be enjoyed, because it wasn't a big juniper bomb up front. Of course, you got the juniper there, but it was just mellowed out and came across just beautiful and fresh and floral. And that was unheard of. It was unheard of.
It was unheard of.
And it just, like if I go through stores today and you look down those aisles, you see all the colors, you see all the flavors, you see all of the points, spicy, floral, green, earth. It's all of those things. Yeah. And I never say whether Hendricks is the best or whether it's the worst, but it's without question the one that paved the path.
Exactly. And so when we talk about those different botanicals, and so a lot of people don't realize that so many spirit categories have regulations, and like tequila has to be made from the 5 regions in Jalisco, and then you have Scotch whiskeys and bourbon, and they all have these regulations, but really gin is like kind of open. There really are no specific, laws or regulations, or like, it has to have a certain amount of juniper flavor, or it has
100%.
to, it's pretty open when it comes to categories
It
and
is.
law. With the flavor profile, and I know, but I want you to know, I want you to say, what are the flavors that set it apart from every other gin? Like if you were like Hendricks, what are the flavors that everyone should know when you think Hendricks, you instantly pop in your head?
Clean, fresh, floral.
Yeah.
And my personal is crushable.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And as you said, that is certainly attributed to the combination of botanicals. With Hendricks, there's a combination of 11 botanicals and then the essence of cucumber and rose, which we'll talk about. But that combination of those 11 made for a gumbo, if you will, that was more approachable on the palate. It mellowed out that juniper. It lifted the juniper. It put a beautiful silk sheet, high thread count sheet over it that made you feel real comfortable. And that's what it did. And that's where we are. And that laid a foundation for what we then do in the next process, which is adding that cucumber and rose.
Well, I'll start us off easy. And I know, hey, Sean, while we're sitting here and I'm looking at production, I would love for you to pull the rose powder, so we can like toss a little rose powder in our mouth later.
We must.
But I'll start us off easy and with gin. And I didn't want to get heavy flavors, and we told them not to get, because gin is a delicate spirit.
It is.
We don't want to like massacre or kill it, but definitely can be paired with anything. So let's start off with a chip.
A chip.
I will say some of the food has been like god awful, and some has been good. I think we've been given some pretty nice,
I
but
can dig this.
We'll start off pretty.
The chip, AKA the crisp from across the pond.
Little chip for breakfast. I have the spirit neat, so we can sip on it neat.
Absolutely.
And then I always try to put it in a classic cocktail. And when we think gin, one of the best, because there's so many classic cocktails with gin because it goes back. But I thought since it's early morning, let's just start off with a crisp, clean gimlet.
Crushable, you nailed it on the head.
Little lime, little sugar, some gin, to really experience the light botanicals of Hendricks and what have you. And it was funny because I've never had anyone ask me when we come here, like, hey, do you have a cucumber? And I was like, oh man, why didn't I have a cucumber?
My first question.
It's like everyone should carry a cucumber in their pocket.
You gotta whip it.
Everyone should. But when we're talking Hendricks, it's like, why did I not think about bringing a cucumber? But pickled chip. So I think I'm just going to do I think I'm ready to enjoy a little Hendricks neat.
Here we go.
In there. And, when on the nose, it's just, you get the lemon, you get the light citrus, you get the cute, it's like I said, Hendricks definitely kicked open the door.
You know that it's a gin. You get the juniper, but again, it's not that juniper bomb. It's not smacking you all in the face, not popping you in the mouth. You get that nose, again, all those aromatics, those floral notes, those fresh notes, the rose and the cucumbers coming through. But when you taste the liquid itself, it takes you on that ride. Like you can get all of those notes. Our master distiller, Leslie Gracie, she thinks of flavors and different things in shapes, right? So all the liquids, and she's a genius and she's crazy, but she's a genius and I love her. But all of the liquids that she creates, she wants that end flavor to be rounded. She wants nothing poking out in any direction. So all of those 11 botanicals, there's not one that jumps out in any direction. It all comes together for a very rounded, approachable, deliciously refreshing spirit.
Yeah, and that's how a spirit should be, right? Because
100%.
one shouldn't overpower the other. It should be like everyone should play nicely in the sandbox.
There you go.
Right? Because if you have one flavor that just kind of knocks you in the face and it's like, oh, yep, and it tends to linger, it kind of kills. But you also get like an oily mouthfeel also on the palate. There's texture. I get like some great citrus, but nothing, you're right, nothing fights with each other. There's no tug of war. Everything just plays nicely. And that's
Indeed.
like when I like to sip on spirits, that's what I love.
Yeah.
Nice balance.
And if we go back again to those 26 years ago, that was unheard of. It was unheard of gin coming from Scotland.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case. We know it comes from Scotland. Delicious Scotch whiskey, right? That was unheard of. The use of that water from the Penwapple Reservoir, what was unheard of, The two stills that we had, which is the origin story of this altogether. Leslie being tasked with, hey, we've got these two very expensive, very rare stills, and we want to make a gin. Yeah. And we want the gin to have some nods and notes and be kind of that English, that British style, but not London dry, at a core. And then, make a nod to tea sandwiches and English cucumber sandwiches,
and
make a nod to English rose gardens.
Exactly.
And all of that comes together and is delivered in that apothecary unique style bottle that is also weird too. Like when you think like they decided on a black bottle with a diamond logo.
But you can see the bottle from everywhere. It has presence. It has, whether you're in a restaurant or bar, you can see, it calls out. It's a call to action. It's a call to action. And every bar has it. You talk about different brands that every back bar should have, and Hendricks is just one of them. And then it's what you do with it and the fun with the cocktails. But I think the best thing that I've always noted that Hendricks has just done a great job about is kind of playing within that oddities kind of realm. So
yes,
when we say Hendricks gin is considered a gin made oddly, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the oddities? And
certainly,
it's fascinating.
No other gin tastes like Hendricks because no other gin is made like Hendricks. Yep. And that's the truth. That is the foundation of unusual. That is the foundation of odd and peculiar and all the things that people have come to know and love and appreciate about how Hendricks presents itself at activations and festivals and conferences, like the characters, the roses, the cucumbers, the penguin with the top hat, the walrus, with the aviation, all of that odd, peculiar, unusualness stems from a very real place, and the real place is how the liquid is made. So again, you've got the where, being Girvan, Scotland, there on the Ayrshire coast. You've got the when, 1999, 26 years ago, and the how or the what is how we touched on those two stills. The first still being Carterhead still, the other being a Bennett still. Bennett still, round belly, much like mine. Don't knock me, trying to work on it. And we take those 11 botanicals, we put them into the belly of that Bennett still. They get a nice gentle boil, as I like to say, jacuzzi action. Love a jacuzzi.
Love jacuzzi.
Day 1, day 2, stay away. And the liquid that comes from that Bennett still is very rich, robust, and complex. That's one liquid, right? From the Bennett still. The Carterhead still has a belly too, but we don't put those botanicals in the belly. We layer them in this box at the top called the flavor basket. Strategically layer them, and they infuse the vapor, or they get a steam bath. So that liquid is light, fragrant, and floral. At the core, what Hendricks does and has done is create two completely different gins, and then we combine them together. And then we add the essence of cucumber and rose. That process is inefficient. That process is ridiculous. That process is unusual, peculiar, and odd. A gin oddly made. That process is the foundation of everything about this liquid that is unusual. And then we bringing that to life from there. So again, I'll never say that Hendricks is better than anything else, that it's worse than anything else. We're just that damn different.
Yeah.
However, we are approachable. No other gin tastes like this liquid because no other gin, still today. And again, I want to find another liquid, whether it's a gin or something else, that uses that process, because I don't want to preach that in my seminars and be wrong,
Well, rose and cucumber are such delicate flavors. And so when you talk about distillation and with heat and a lot of those, they're just so delicate. You have to approach it in a delicate fashion.
You have to.
In the creation of it. And you're right, like there's, different types of gins, different styles of gins. And pushing consumers beyond their comfort zone to try different gins, because there's room, right,
for everyone,
for everyone,
we all have
and
different
to
palates.
Experiment and different palates. And I always say what we drink defines who we are. People want to experiment. People want to go out and they want to try different things.
They want to escape.
They want to escape. And so when we think about what we drink defines who we are, this is great, it's peculiar, it's odd, it pushes boundaries. Is there a story from, hey, I want to make the best gin and I want to make it different? Was there a story of this person came from this industry, or their dad made tequila or whiskey? Is there a backstory that people can connect with?
Pretty much it in a nutshell. It was William Grant & Son, a company that's been making outrageously delicious and amazing award-winning Scotch whiskey for years. The owner at the time had purchased these two stills. Again, they were very rare, very expensive, and they were just sitting. And they tasked the master distiller, Leslie Gracie, who's a scientist at heart, botanist, she's just all those things. She literally her job before was to make medicine taste better. Like that was literally her job, outside of this. So she, had the stills. She had the task to create something that was uniquely English, but very different from everything that was out there. And then she got kind of like these footnotes of tea cakes, tea sandwiches, cucumber sandwiches, English rose gardens. What are you going to do? And she pulled all of that together. And that's where we have this liquid again that at the core is oddly made. So it was, we want to make a gin. This is what we have. Let's create something that no one else has or no one else has done. And here we are with the most unusual gin. And you just gave me
wasabi.
An unusual wasabi.
Wasabi. So let's do wasabi with the unusual, peculiar. Got a little bit of heat. You know what? I think I'm going to do the gimlet with this one.
I like wasabi.
And people connect with stories in the history, and people always ask, like, where did these ideas come from? And same with mixology. Get a little wasabi in the morning. I think I'm going to do a little sip of gimlet. It's funny with this. It's like, we could call this the green goddess, right? Whenever people do like basil or cucumber and the greens in a gin cocktail, we could call this
so good.
Little wasabi, with the citrus flavor profile of it.
I didn't toast you though.
I know.
I got to toast you. It's only one rule. Pinky's out.
Pinky's out. Okay, so that's the English,
There you go. My rule is no pinky, no drinky.
No pinky, no drinky then.
Delicious.
I'm going to have to write that down no pinky, no drinky. No pinky, no drinky. I'm going to have to do that one at our next business meeting, right? But people love a story because we talk about, same with mixology, like in flavor combinations, you don't know unless you just actually try it.
It's true.
And, when you talk about distillation and a spirit starts from the raw material, from production to even post-distillation and what's done, and experimentation is key. And there's so many fun things distillers are doing to experiment, to push boundaries, and what's the new, what can be brought to what's just new and different, because trends start somewhere.
Textures, all those
it's
things.
Just, and y'all have come up with such a vast array of different flavors and different marks of gin. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where those flavors coming from?
Absolutely. So speaking of stories, as you said, a consumer and anyone, you love a good story.
Yeah.
And Hendricks from day one is a good story, and it tells great stories. It tells through the liquid, through the choosing of those botanicals, through the cucumber and rose. Again, that's not distilled because, cooked cucumbers.
It's too delicate,
it's horrible. There's only one person that cooks cucumbers, good friend of mine. His name is Jacques Papin, and he's a legend, so he can do that, So we take the essence, the oils that have been extracted from both the cucumber and rose, and we add those to that blended liquid. 2 liquids, 2 distillates come together, and then we add the essence of cucumber and rose. In our gin palace there in Girvan, Scotland, Leslie Bracey has a lab, and in her lab, she has a physical, actual cabinet of curiosities. And in there are distillates and liquids and botanicals and things that she has gathered literally from all around the world. All of her journeys, her adventures, and things that people have given her as gifts in their travels and adventures. And she holds them all there. And she's inspired by them. They all have stories, and they then influence her tinkering, and magic, whimsical wizardry in her lab. The Cabinet of Curiosities is a physical cabinet that holds liquid and inspiration, and it's also a position that we have, a banner, if you will, that we create expressions of Hendricks under. Now, what I'll start with is that every expression of Hendricks at the heart is Hendricks original. We're not creating new liquid.
Okay.
But just like we added the essence of cucumber and rose to the original liquid, we're adding additional essence to tell whatever this new story is. So if we're talking about Orbium, which was the first, at the heart you've got Hendricks, but then we've added additional essence like wormwood and quinine and lotus blossom, things that you find in vermouth or martinis or tonic, right? And what it was made to do was to, in essence, be the perfect martini all wrapped into one. Delicious liquid, rounded, bitter, sweet, all of these things. But the story that it's telling is what would Hendricks taste like in a parallel universe. Now, what other brand on this planet would create a liquid, a gin, and the selling point would be like, what this thing would taste like in a parallel universe? Only Hendricks would. After that, we had, I believe it was like Midsummer Solstice again, which pulled together additional floral essence, but these florals on top of the rose were more lighter and brighter, and then it was supported by like orange blossom. So you've got this rounded floral bright sweetness, which is certainly a cult favorite that has just come back for a limited time, which was a surprising delight to a lot of folks. But to celebrate certain botanicals that behave differently at the height of the midsummer solstice, we had Lunar, which brought together night blooming floral essence. Flowers that behave differently at night, bloom, smell differently at nighttime, but again was a celebration of the moon, you know, and how we react and behave differently. In Duty Free, we had Hendricks Amazonia, which, you know, came to life and brought these tropical flavors together from one of her ventures to the Amazon. Grand Cabaret last year, which was all about stone fruit and decadence and wild, crazy parties in Paris and what's getting ready to come in March. So again, with all of them, with the entire position of the Cabinet of Curiosities, they're not flavors, they're stories, right? And again, it's a combination of flavor inspirations that are telling this story, and we don't necessarily call those flavors out, because if we were to say, this is Hendricks, not that we have it, but this is Hendricks banana, some people would love it. Some people would hate it. But if we come together with banana and a few other things, and all of those are telling a story, the story would be more interesting than any one of those flavors alone. So they really help to bring to life, you know, her adventures, but also expand what I like to call the giniverse of Hendricks. And Marvel hasn't come after me yet, so I'm gonna keep on saying it. So we literally have a giniverse.
Oh my God. Okay, so you choose the next one. I've chosen 2, and then we'll go into.
All right, let's go out here with whatever this is over here, this chip situation.
Yeah, let's see. Is this a chip?
I don't know.
Let's see. I always say nerves. Nose confirmed palate. So
that's good. Tastes like pizza.
Okay.
Spicy rice skin.
Okay.
Tastes like pepperoni pizza to me. Oh no.
You got pepperoni spice on the back end, Frito on the front, pepperoni spice on the back.
What were the little pizza things they put in the microwave? Pizza bites.
You'll notice I keep, even when you're talking, I'm just like sipping.
I love it.
It's, what's great about it is, a lot of times when you drink a spirit, salivating, heat, I'd be like, whoo, and you know. But with this, it's so mouth-warming and so coating, and like some of the words I've written down are peculiar, odd, it's a journey, it's an adventure, it's whimsical, it's inspirational, it's a parallel universe, a journey to the parallel universe, it's night blooming, it's a celebration, it's, you know, stories that's led by flavor, and these are like words and descriptors that you don't hear other brands and other spirits and other even talk about, because it's distiller's intent, right? It doesn't mean that the others are bad.
100%.
It just means that this is what this brand is. And if you haven't tried it, just those words in itself would make me want to try Hendricks.
It has created a lane, and it's a very unique lane.
Yeah, it's a HOV lane that just takes you fast track to
Flavor Town, unusual Flavor Town.
It's the HOV lane to the giniverse.
There you go.
As you said.
Give me some. Give me some.
Do you remember the first time you ever tried gin or Hendricks gin?
So I was running a bar in Washington, D.C., Cuban spot. So we had gin, but gin wasn't it. It was rum. Rum was my baby. But I had a very good relationship with my sales rep, Jordan Davidowitz at the time, my man. Love you, bro. Clearly, I'm doing what I'm doing now because of him. And he invited me over for dinner. He and his wife, Danielle. And I don't know if it was pre-dinner, he was cooking, she was doing something, but she reached up and she grabbed this bottle. And I'd seen the bottle, but I wasn't like really familiar with what it was. Grabbed this bottle, short, stubby, black, diamond label. And I'm like, what's that? She's like, you're gonna like it. You like gin. And I was dabbling in gin at the time. Again, running the Cuban restaurant, we turned into a nightclub on Friday and Saturday. So a lot of my time was on the dance floor.
Doing a little salsa.
Get my salsa, merengue, bachata, cumbia on. And I was drinking, not at work, I was drinking gin. This was like the kind of embarrassing, sip. It was gin with Rose's lime. Now we're talking, I'm dating how far back this was. Gin, Rose's lime juice, tonic, splash of cranberry, a splash of club soda, lime, fresh lime squeeze. Just the calories on that. I mean, I'm swelling.
I just felt my thighs. I think I just did like my jeans split.
Yeah. So Danny Blaze was like, listen, I know you've been dabbling in gin. I want you to try this. So she pulls out a highball, fills it with ice, pours the gin in, tops with tonic, goes into the refrigerator, pulls out a cucumber, of all things, slices a cucumber, puts it in there, and I'm like, what the hell is, first of all, what is that bottle? Secondly, why are you putting cucumber in it? Tasted it, never turned back. That was my first like proper taste of Hendricks gin. And it was unlike anything I had tasted before. Kind of related to that, 2 weeks later, her husband, my sales rep, he came to me. He said, AV, it's this company that owns that gin that you tasted at my house the other night. They're looking for someone to kind of rep their brand locally. And he was like, I think you should go for it. They want you to, rep the brand, educate on it, move the product, throw events, all things that we're doing. And that kind of got me started. So literally tasted it for the first time, fell in love with it. 2 weeks later, was working for that brand via agency.
What role does Hendricks play in that multicultural realm?
Indeed, and that's where I started. So my title at the time was Multicultural Portfolio Associate. So again, I worked on Hendricks and a few other brands for William Grant. But I think what it has contributed then and over the years was to deliver a liquid to the market in a category that was love or hate, right? But again, was more approachable. So it gave a diverse audience an escape of flavor and experience, because along with a unique liquid, Hendricks has always presented itself or activated in a way unlike any other brand as well, right? So what we have put in the bottle is different and unusual and separated, and how we activate, how we present ourselves, how we engage with the consumer is also a wild experience. And that has kind of opened up, this big broad tent, because whether you are familiar with the profiles of gin as a whole, as a person, you still want to go for an experience. So you can welcome the consumer in either literally through the liquid or through the experience, and they're going to cross over either way. And that really helped to build a good, strong, wide, broad foundation for the Hendricks consumer. And you can see how that has worked today. And then, when you're delivering something that's light and refreshing, that just, again, supports easy and approachable. And here we are, 26 plus years later. Still doing it. And it's funny to kind of see kind of adjacent, like with the explosion of tequila, right? You think destination, you think escapism, you think light, refreshing margaritas, you think vacation, all of those things. And you think of, where vodka, is positioned with kind of low cal, simple, approachable, kind of clean. And gin as a category now having to kind of swing back and want to still share from both tequila and vodka, because we know for all the years we used to say vodka pays the bills.
You go back to the Hollywood days and what have you. It was very much a tie for gin and vodka.
Indeed.
It was a little power struggle there,
right. And vodka's always paid the bills because it's easy.
What's great is it's also higher proof. So for cocktails, and like I said, it's higher proof, but it doesn't drink higher proof.
And it's super premium.
Key. Super premium, but in cocktails, that little extra proof just gives it that little punch that sometimes cocktails need, but it by no means does it even drink. Higher, a little bit higher proof, which is great that the average consumer may not know about gins. They typically do skew a little bit on the higher proof side as well. Let's try something a little bit more hearty, a little bit more girthy, maybe. Like
this looks meaty.
A little meaty. Talk about feeling the calories in the pants expand, right?
As if I need it. Okay.
Not too bad. A little sweet. Not too meaty.
It's got a little pull on it, but it's still tender.
Okay. Not too bad. Might do a little sippy sip on the...
I can get down with that.
Have you ever had anyone try Hendricks gin and not like it?
I have never come across someone who's tasted either the liquid neat or it in a cocktail and not liked it.
Not liked it.
And it's funny, that has delivered kind of this cult following and kind of cult statement where consumers and people say, you know what? I do not like gin. I do not like gin, but I love Hendricks.
That brings up a good point, because when we talk about it with whiskey too as a category. You have your spirit-forward drinkers, old fashions, Manhattans, Negronis, where it's spirit-forward, it's stirred over ice, and then you have your lighter style drinkers, where you have the balance of sugar and citrus, and you have different flavors like pomegranate or different flavors that just lighten the spirit. Interesting point where you need that one spirit or drink that pulls in the new consumer. You're gonna have your gin aficionados, you're gonna have your whiskey aficionados, your tequila, you're gonna have your wine.
Yes.
But how do we maintain our drinkers that are gin drinkers? But then how do we entice new drinkers then?
Indeed. From a Hendricks lens, so of course you've got the classics, right? There are people that love the martini. I mean, martini is the most iconic cocktail that represents
You go back
spirits.
to black and white movies with a cigarette and a classic martini.
It represents the entire
Bewitched.
spirit category.
You're having a 3-finger martini during
Absolutely.
lunchtime on Bewitched. You're having a martini at lunch and it's okay.
That's it. So you've got that classic, but again, that's a love-hate relationship because I always say the martini is the most personal cocktail that there is. There is a spec in a bill, but everyone loves the martini their way, right? So that's that. The Negroni, popular, trending, but it's bitter. Not everyone's palate is that. Gin and tonic, another classic, iconic gin cocktail, but not everyone loves tonic, the quinine. They love or hate. So where we've kind of been for a wide lens consumer sip for the past couple of years has been the cucumber lemonade.
Easy.
I mean, come on, lemonade, who doesn't like lemonade? There's somebody out there, for those who have allergies with lemons, my heart bleeds.
Then do limeade.
Limeade, hello. But we've done that. Again, lemonade, put some club soda in it. It's sparkling, it's effervescent, it's bubbly, it's celebratory. It speaks to the warm days. It speaks to gatherings, being together. It's just good. Hendricks gin, lemon juice, a little simple, club soda, long, over ice. Come on. For the novice drinker to introduce them to the category, because if they engage and connect with that drink, then they're more willing to try a more spirit forward. If they're like, oh, this is good. This isn't what it is. It doesn't taste like perfume. It doesn't taste like a Christmas tree. And so you break down those myths and barriers and break it down. They're more prone to try another gin cocktail. So okay, so I'm gonna try nut. All right. So we're gonna add just nuts and we've got nuts. We've got nuts. Our food has been, you know what? You're safe today. Do you have an allergy? No, I don't. Okay, I was just about to say, let me take a sip of gin to figure out how we're gonna maneuver this one. We're good. We're good. I'll get on set. That was good. It's probably the most spicy thing that we've had. I mean, and it's not outrageously spicy. Nice. And you know what? I've said this in the past. You can tell an excellent spirit when you have spice and you can drink something straight and it doesn't intensify the heat because of the heat of the spirit itself. Indeed. It actually is good. I'm just gonna go in for another one. It was funny when we poured this, someone's actually said earlier it looks like a toenail. But we'll taste it and see. If your toenail is this red. We got to. I wouldn't go back to that salon, would you? Okay, that was a little spicy. I might do a little gimlet. Oh yeah. Let's see what's trending on menus. Moscow Mule, you got a gin. Mm-hmm. You got a gin with ginger beer. So you got a gin. You got Cosmopolitan. You got a Cosmopolitan. People don't realize with cocktails, you take out one ingredient and put in another. Because it's like this, if you put in tequila, it's a margarita. You got a margarita. If you put in gin, it's a gimlet. It's so it's funny. Bee's knees, whiskey sour. It's all the same. It's all the same, right? It's just the same bloodline, I guess we could say. Indeed. Pisco sour. We can keep going on. Let's see what this one is. And then because I'm gonna keep drinking gin. Ooh, this is really good. I could munch on this on an airplane. We might send you home with this. It's like a Funyun Cheeto. Right? A little bit about you. When you're not when you're not working, what do you drink? I think at my home bar, I have easily over 3,000 bottles. Okay, you beat me. I have about 1,000. Never touch them unless I'm entertaining. Holidays, events, gatherings, dinner parties. I love to cook. I'm a wine guy. That's what I drink at home. Red, I'm drinking at wine. Red? All over the board. Okay. But I like red. 100% like red. Yep. I like white too. But I love red. But I am a wine guy. That's what I'm drinking at home. I don't make cocktails at home. If I'm out and about, it depends on how I feel, honestly. You are shaped by your surroundings and your actions and all of that. So I feel like when I was working on Drambuie, when I was out and even off, I was drinking cocktails. Some people call it Drambuie. Well, listen. Buoy, rocking everywhere. Blame it on the buoy. I think when I worked on Monkey Shoulder, was drinking cocktails because again, as a whiskey, Monkey Shoulder was positioned for cocktail making. Hendricks, even when I'm not working, it still rubs off. So it's different at different occasions and what I'm feeling. But if I look back over the last couple of months and not being on, it's been like a Vesper martini.
Half and
Spin a
half.
martini, right?
I wish Vespers would make a comeback and be on menus.
I need them. They're so good.
Trend starts somewhere.
That's
Vesper martini. It's the best of both worlds.
I love it. And I like it shaken.
Yeah.
And that is one martini expression I actually want shaken.
You know what? It's what the consumer wants. Shaken, a
100%.
little bit of ice crystals, or stirred. People always say shaken or stirred. It's what's the preference of what do you want?
I went out last night to a restaurant. I'm not going to name it because I don't know if that's how things work. You know how it is. And had a Vesper martini. I mean, they shook the hell. It was like the Antarctica layer of ice crystals. I was like, oh, this is great. And then like you're sipping it and you're hearing them ding, 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 ding. It was so good.
It was good.
But that's where I've been. I've been kind of in that realm, kind of martini-esque realm.
Gibson's another one I wish people would make a comeback. Gin or vodka, to me it's gin or vodka, but I would love to see cocktail onions back on a menu, because you see, it's just a small little tweak.
Yes.
Just the smallest little tweak, as simple as a garnish. Instead of olives, it's an onion. Like, I would love to see Gibson Vespers. Oh, I would love to see those on menus.
Love Vespers.
And again, when we're trying it at home, making cocktails at home, making drink placements on it, like Vesper, Gibson's, like bring it all back.
Yep.
So we still have, oh my gosh, look how, I've almost finished mine.
I've been trying to behave.
You've been trying to behave. I could always pour more from this big.
We've got powder.
Here's some rose powder. So let's just do a little, we can treat it like, remember that candy with the sticks?
Fun dip
right?
for the
Fun
win.
dips, that's it, fun dips. Let's see, and then do a little sippy sip. It's like tasting perfume. Now what's interesting is when you try this,
it's better than I expected.
Right?
Because like when you get like rose water, it's
rose water, just a drop. You have to get a dropper.
it's a
and
bomb.
It's just like
boom. But this is approachable.
And it's gluten free.
How would you use this? Garnish? You shake
probably
with
a rimmer. Like, it would be great if you had like a gimlet and you just did a basic gimlet with a rose powder. Like,
love that.
When we're talking about drinks, making them at home, when we're talking about placements on at restaurants, keep it simple sometimes, and just one simple thing like a garnish, like a rose powder garnish, to where it's salt on a margarita.
Absolutely. Rose salt, rose sugar.
Yeah, the salt could add something to the margarita, just like just a little rim. So not overpowering, but again, it captures the essence. So we had to do a little rose powder there.
I like that.
So I'm gonna make you do. I have a little bit left. You know what? I might.
There's a bottle.
There's a bottle here.
You got it?
I got it. So let's just do this. We're gonna do a little because I know what this next one tastes like. Let's see how
You prefer me to have a small piece.
how the whimsical can tame the bad. Let's see. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh boy.
You know what? It started out with promise.
Oh.
And it was taking me on like a smoked ride. I was like, oh, are we like in the smoked bacon realm,
Oh God.
And the longer it's in there.
Last question, and this is a ginger snap, so you can eat that after.
Classic.
Like that, you can walk away just kind of doing a skip. Okay, you're on TV. What would you want to tell everyone about Hendricks Gin? What they should know? What should they take away? Just anything. If you have the whole world captive, Hendricks Nation, you're speaking to the Giniverse.
Not it.
What would you want them to know? Boom.
My dear Cucumber Gill, I've come today to deliver word on the most unusual, the most refreshing, the odd, the peculiar, the unusual. No other gin tastes like it because no other gin is made like it. I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm saying it's that damn different, right? I love botanicals. The essence of cucumber and rose, two completely different liquids that are blended together. And then we add the essence of cucumber and rose. You want escape, you want refreshing, you want crushable. It's in this bottle. All right? I don't want legal coming after me. It's not going to change your life. It will change your palate. Without question, the most approachable gin that is out there. Beautiful, crushable martinis, your cucumber lemonades, you want your gimlets. It's completely versatile. And once you get this, try our expressions, right? You've got Grand Cabaret that's out there. Wonderful stone fruit. Florodora is still floating out there. A wonderful floral bloom. You might be able to see a little bit of Orbium out there as well, again, from a parallel universe. Be careful, buckle up in a rocket ship. But this is the one, right? Hendricks gin, you've been around, the most unusual. No other gin tastes like it because no other gin is made like it. The essence of cucumber and rose, without question, delivering you, the cucumber gill, the most refreshing cocktails. And when you sip, remember this thing, do it responsibly. There's only one rule.
No pinky.
No pinky.
No drinking.